What is up, everybody? This is Anthony with VR365. What is going on? It is Tuesday. It is April 2nd, and it is about 4:01 p.m. What is the latest, guys? Okay, first of all, I just want to say to anybody that is here from, in regards to No Man's Sky, I have not played No Man's Sky ever. I've never played the flat version of No Man's Sky. I haven't played the VR version of No Man's Sky. The reason it's in the title, Hands-On Impressions of No Man's Sky and Iron Man VR, is I'm going to be commenting on everybody else's impressions of getting hands-on time with No Man's Sky and Iron Man VR. Because those are kind of the news, that's kind of the news that we have today, is that people actually got hands-on time with No Man's Sky and also Iron Man VR, and there are comments. Upload VR, for example. David Jagano, I believe, of Upload VR, he got some hands-on time with No Man's Sky, and I believe Iron Man VR as well. And Ben Lang got time with No Man's Sky, and I'm not sure if he played Iron Man VR, but I think they both actually had, time with both of those games. So I've never played them, ever. Never, ever even played the flat version of No Man's Sky. So sorry to disappoint anybody regarding that. You see, when No Man's Sky was originally coming out, which was in 2016, right? No Man's Sky came out like around August or something of 2016. I had already fallen in love with VR and completely fell out of love with every flat game. Like I have no interest in flat gaming. You couldn't pay me to play. No, you could. You could pay me to play a flat game. Never mind. You could pay me to play a flat game, but I don't play flat games for my health, all right? I have no interest. The last time I played a flat game was Horizon Zero Dawn on PlayStation 4, and played it for like an hour or so and thought, man, maybe I should play some more of these flat games. And then about a half an hour after that realized, nah, never mind. There's something majorly missing. I'm playing this flat game. It's kind of cool, but something is majorly missing. And I figured out what it was. I'm not in the goddamn game. I want to be in the game. I don't want to look out a window externally at a game. I want to be inside the game. I want to live in the game. I want to breathe in the game. I want to do it all inside the game. Okay, but anyways, this is episode 138 of VR365 Live. Did I just say VR365? Yeah, VR365. Okay, I didn't say VR365. That's the wrong way to say it. Okay, this is episode 138 of VR365 Live. All the way live. And today is Tuesday, and it is April 2nd. Thank God it's April 2nd. We can return to the intronets. We can return to the internet today, and we don't have to worry about everything being complete and utter bullshit. And that is a beautiful thing. Okay, but you know what we're going to do is we're going to start off today's show. We're going to start off today's show with a new feature. And I'd like to say that this is going to be a regular feature, but I don't know that it is. But basically what I wanted to get into, guys, is the question of the day. And so we'll go ahead and start it off with the question of the day so that people can think about this over the course of our show, and maybe they can comment on the question later as the show goes on. So I'll start off with this question of the day. We'll forget about it, and then we'll see if anybody had any replies to this later on in the day. And so my question of the day is, what is the last big Oculus exclusive that we've gotten? Like, what's the last big Oculus game? Has there been a big Oculus game this year? We're in the month of April now, guys. We are in the month of April. We've had all of January, all of February, all of March. We're now in the month of April. But you know what? I think it goes back even further. Did we get a big Oculus game in December? In November? I mean, I'm trying to think, what's the last big Oculus game? You know, like an exclusive, like you can only get it on the Oculus store. What's the last big Oculus game? The last one that I can remember is like Windlands 2 last September was exclusive to the Oculus store for a little while. Marvel Powers United VR, but that was like last summer. Like that was long time ago. Virtual reality was exclusive for a short window of time, but that was a long time ago. And my question of the day, what is the last major Oculus exclusive? And a bonus question to add on top of that. Here's my bonus question. Whatever happened to that game a month thing? Remember, we were supposed to get like one big game a month, and for a while they were actually doing it. We actually got like one big game every month, and you know, there would be a month here or a month there where there was nothing happening, but pretty much on a consistent basis, we got one big banger every month. What happened to that? So, you know, that is the question of the day on the whole Oculus thing, because I don't know, man. I mean, what is the last big Oculus exclusive? Is it really Windlands 2 last September? Man, that is a damn shame if that is, because you're talking about October, no big game, November, no big game, December, no big game, January, February, and March, no big game. That is like 6 months. It's like over 6 months since a major Oculus exclusive. I know we've got Asgard's Wrath that's coming in the not too distant future. Dance Central is going to be an exclusive Oculus game initially, I believe. Dead and Buried 2, there's going to be an Oculus version of that. That's going to be exclusive. Obviously, we're waiting on Defector, etc., etc. But it seems like we've had a drought of epic proportions. So kind of crazy if you ask me. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and talk about No Man's Sky, because impressions have hit. Some people have actually gotten their hands on the game, and it's a big deal. It's a big thing. This is easily... We've had a lot of major news that have hit the VR gaming industry just in the last like 10 days or so. And the biggest news of the year is Valve Index. We can't get it twisted. Valve Index is the biggest VR news that we've had in a long time. I mean, it's the big one. But right there is probably No Man's Sky. It's kind of unfortunate almost that No Man's Sky kind of got buried a little bit with the arrival of the Valve Index. And to think that in the month of June, around June 15th, if that's when we're really going to go ahead and get the Valve Index, we might have No Man's Sky with the Beyond update at that same time. Could you imagine the day that you get your Valve Index, No Man's Sky is like available the next day? It's like double Christmas. It's like you put on your Valve Index, you're like, oh my God, everything is so much clearer. Everything looks so much better. There's a bigger FOV and everything going on in here. The resolution looks so good. The optics are incredible. And then on top of that, you're playing No Man's Sky. How freaking incredible would that be? Okay, but what I wanted to do, though, is I wanted to talk about some of the impressions that we have out there. And so basically, most of the stuff that I'm going to talk about is related to Upload VR, David Jagano, and Ben Lang from Road to VR and their impressions. And so I have a number of quotes that I'm going to get into here that are from these two guys. And so why don't I go ahead and throw on a little picture thing here for David Jagana. Okay, so here's David Jagana of Upload VR fame. And so one of the things is, first of all, he got to try he got to try this on the HTC Vive Pro, and he also got to try it on a regular PlayStation VR. Well, we don't know. We don't know if it was a PlayStation 4 Pro that was hidden behind under a curtain. We also don't know what the PC was that was driving the version that was running on the HTC Vive Pro. But one of the quotes that we have from David Jagana is that the draw distance is fantastic. The draw distance is fantastic. That is quite awesome, you know. And now this is the HTC Vive Pro version, okay? Now, for comparison's sake, he talked about the draw distance and some of the stuff on PlayStation VR, and he said the far distance in the horizon is quite blurry on PlayStation VR. So not a huge shock there that the PlayStation VR version is not going to be spectacular from that standpoint. Another thing that he said about the PlayStation VR version is that it ran smoothly with no noticeable frame drops. So that's exciting. I mean, just the fact that this thing actually runs relatively well on a OG PlayStation 4 and a PlayStation 4 Pro, the fact that the game runs relatively well and you're using your Move controllers and you're in that world and you're exploring the world of No Man's Sky, pretty freaking incredible. But yeah, the background, you know, the draw distance, the far off distance is going to be blurry. I'm guaranteeing you. See, one of the things about PlayStation VR, and I've talked about it a million times, PlayStation VR, there's a lot of PlayStation VR games that basically have, what do we call it? It's basically that Vaseline smear look. It's the Drive Club thing. If you've played Drive Club on PlayStation VR, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It kind of looks like somebody got a tub of petroleum jelly and they got themselves a nice butter knife, and then they got themselves a nice HD TV and they kind of scooped up some petroleum jelly and smoothed out a nice smooth layer of petroleum jelly all over the TV, and everything kind of has that Vaseline kind of a look to it. The PlayStation VR is famous for it. It has it. This is just reality that we deal with on PlayStation VR. Now, some games kind of avoid it and kind of hide it better than others, and some games are like the poster child, like Drive Club VR. And I got to imagine, like, looking off into the distance on No Man's Sky, it's going to have that Vaseline look. But the good news is, they didn't notice any dramatical frame drops, or, you know, they didn't notice any frame drops. Now, they weren't playing it for 45 hours. You know, they got a demo of it. This was, I believe, at GDC is where these people got the demo. And it obviously was embargoed, apparently, till today, because all this information is coming out today. But no one was talking about frame drops, so that's really, really good news as far as that goes. I think I've already mentioned that they didn't know if it was running on an OG PlayStation 4 or the PlayStation 4 Pro, and they also didn't know what PC was driving the experience. Okay, in terms of options, teleportation and smooth locomotion were both available for anybody that wants to use it. So you can teleport, you can smooth locomote. That's good news. Also, lots of comfort options. A whole lot of comfort options were included as well. And one of the final comments I want to get to in regards to David Jagana and playing this on, he played it on a HTC Vive Pro and on PlayStation VR. And one of the main quotes that I have here is, "At no point did I feel like I was playing a game that was obviously ported from a non-VR format, and at the end of the day, that's just about the highest compliment I can pay to No Man's Sky, considering it was released almost 3 years ago without VR support at all." And that is an incredible comment. I mean, that is a spectacular comment if you really think about it, because think of the other big games that we've gotten in VR: Skyrim VR, Fallout 4 VR, LA Noire, the VR case files, a number of the biggest games that we've gotten, they've been converted, like Alien Isolation, although that's kind of like a underground mod to a degree there. But like, none of these games give you legitimate hand presence, you know, and all of these games, like some of the jank is like with the menus and stuff. The menus were not designed for VR. And so when you're playing Fallout 4 or Skyrim, you know, there's these like menus and things that pop up and they kind of clip through stuff in the environment, because it wasn't designed with VR in mind. No Man's Sky was not designed with VR in mind either, but they've done enough work on it. one of the things that we found out about this, hold on a second here. I'm going to try to throw up a different video on here. This other video that I'm about to grab right now is, if this works here. Yeah, okay. This is from IGN. And it says footage does not reflect the VR version or something like that. But I don't know if this is footage from the VR version or not. But it said something about, like, there was a little message that popped on the screen. But this is from IGN. They've also been talking about how it feels like a completely new game. Like, this is an entirely new game. It's almost like you're getting a brand new game, playing the game in VR. It's a complete watershed moment. And for people like me, like those of us that just miss this game because maybe we got super hyped into VR and we just kind of let flat gaming go by, think of the treat that we have waiting for us coming this summer. It's going to be incredible. But I thought that was a pretty awesome quote there by David Giagano, that basically the highest compliment he can pay is that it doesn't feel like this was ported, and it feels like it's a natural VR game. Okay, so now I want to go over to Ben Lang, because Ben Lang has a little bit of a differing opinion in certain areas, but he was mostly positive on everything as well. So let me go ahead and let's switch. I'm going to switch over to a little Ben Lang thing. We'll throw him up on the screen there. That's our boy Ben Lang. Okay, so one of the things that Ben Lang had to say about this, he says the game's interface, where you manage your inventory and more, appears as a floating window in front of you, and input is driven by a laser pointer that comes from your hand. Aside from being able to aim tools easily with motion input, the controls and interface for No Man's Sky VR feel quite clunky at this pre-release stage. So Ben Lang's actually saying some of it looks like some of the menus and some of like the UI and getting into the different things that you're doing there, it's a bit clunky. But that kind of flies in the face of what David Giagano said, where it seemed like all of that was done much better. He was actually, in his longer article, he was talking a little bit of smack about Skyrim VR and how that stuff is not handled very well in Skyrim VR, but it's been handled well in No Man's Sky. But Ben Lang seems to kind of differ a little bit here, saying that it feels a little bit clunky at this pre-release stage. Okay, let's see. Is this another Ben Lang quote? Yeah. Okay, so Ben Lang, he's playing the HTC Vive Pro version of the game. And here's another quote that he has about it. He says, "While I was comfortable throughout my time playing, including while flying, I'm still curious to know if all aspects of the game will be widely comfortable. No Man's Sky includes more means of locomotion like ground vehicles and swimming, which weren't initially designed for VR. We don't yet have many specifics on what comfort options will be available to VR players, so we'll have to wait and see as we get closer to the update." Okay, so that was Ben Lang. So I guess in this demo that these people did get, they didn't get to actually drive, they didn't get to drive the vehicles, and they didn't get to go underwater. So, because otherwise he would have probably spoke to that. So he's unsure about the means of locomotion for that and how comfortable that's going to feel. But both of them said, like, from a standpoint of being able to just get into your ship and fly out of the atmosphere and just go off into space, that it was a magical moment for them in VR. So everything sounds really good here. I mean, the bottom line is this game is going to be a major release when it hits in the summer. This could be a pretty good game changer in VR, more so from the fact that I think there's a lot of people that have been kind of waiting for VR to mature a bit, from a standpoint of they feel like not, all the biggest games aren't in VR. And this is kind of one of the big ones that some people have said straight up, the day No Man's Sky is available in VR is the day I buy a VR headset. People have actually said that, and now we are going to get No Man's Sky. Okay, oh, it says No Man's Sky VR footage is a work in progress. Okay, so this is actual VR footage, and you could see the hands moving independently there. And that's another thing. Like when you're playing this online and you see other players, if you see players individually moving their hands, you're going to know that they're VR players. And if you see players where their hands are moving together, you're going to know that basically they aren't VR players. So but man, I completely missed out on this game. And I got to tell you, I am a sucker for exploration. I love being on an alien world and just exploring a completely new world. I love underwater stuff. I love seeing creatures and fauna and all the weird things that could possibly randomly take place in a procedurally generated world. This is kind of like catnip for somebody like me. I've stayed away from the game this entire time, and it's gone through an incredible amount of drama over the last 3 years, basically, ever since it arrived, from the standpoint that people were trying to do a class action lawsuit back in the days against Hello Games, and they've basically completely turned it around. And pretty much everybody is on board now. People just say, this is a completely different game than it was back then. And then on top of that, you put it in VR, and it's like completely different in VR. And that's how you get in your ship. You actually like look at your ship, you do a thing, and then bam, you're inside the ship. Now you're in your ship. They did say that they were playing it seated. And I believe it was David Jagano was talking about how when he gets this game for himself, you know, he's going to be standing up when he's outside on the planets, and then, you know, maybe sit down when you're in the cockpit and that type of thing, but otherwise you're going to be standing up. Conrad Lawrence says, did I buy it yet? Not yet. No, I have not bought it yet. I figure we got some time. I kind of think it'll probably go on sale again before, you know, we've got a number of months to go. It's going to be a while. So I don't, like, this is coming summer, but you could translate, like, summer goes all the way into, like, early September, technically, right? Like, actually, you know what? That's a good question. Let's find out when summer begins and when summer ends. We were kind of doing that type of stuff when it came to spring. You know, we were thinking about spring, and when is spring, right? Okay, so let's take a look at summer. So switching over here to our webby browser, and you can see summer begins Friday on June 21st, and it ends Monday, September 23rd. Now, this is for the Northern Hemisphere. This is for basically kind of USA kind of a thing here. But yeah, summer extends all the way into September. So this game could technically arrive like sometime in early September, and it doesn't mean that the game is late. So all we know right now is summer. So it could be quite some time. Like, we could be waiting a little while for this thing. So I think we need to kind of understand that to a degree here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get back to our main thing here. Greg's VR says summer is June, July, August. Yeah, I mean, that's normally the way I consider it. But see, I didn't realize, like, when we looked at spring in relationship to like Rift S and Oculus Quest, I didn't know that spring like went all the way into pretty deep into June. So, you know, summer starts a little bit later than maybe we think it does. Spring ends a little bit later than maybe we think it does. Yeah, you don't think of September as summer because most people are back in school, and you don't think, like, you think summer's over, now it's time to go back to school. But technically it's still summer when you're there early in school. Okay, so that is that. Let's see here now. What do we want to do? Okay, so now we can go into Iron Man impressions. And let me go ahead and get the Iron Man thing up on the screen. I mean, let's go ahead and get our Iron Man video, if I could find it here now. Hold on a second. Here we go. VR365 Live and Iron Man. Yeah, so the thing about Iron Man, when we first saw this trailer, I mean, I said the same thing that most of you guys said. Not impressive. The trailer is not impressive at all, in my personal opinion, because almost everything you see is not gameplay. And then the very brief portions that we see that are gameplay, to me, it seems like it's an experience. And also, even a bigger worry than that is like, I do not want a game where you're mostly flying up in the sky with blue skies and clouds. If that's the game that they're delivering to me, I have no interest. If I never land on the damn ground, like if I don't land on the ground and see a building right there and I'm standing on the ground and then I can go shoo, and then I go up into the air and I see the buildings getting smaller and smaller and smaller as I freaking go up into the atmosphere and then it starts going dark. If I can't do that, get the F out of here, in my personal opinion. Now, that might be a bit harsh. Maybe I'm being a little bit ridiculous here. But if this is mostly what I'm seeing, if I'm mostly seeing just clouds and like that's the same reason I've never been into like Ace Combat and a lot of these flying games. It's like once you've seen a puffy cloud or two and you've seen some blue sky, like big effing deal. Like does anybody really care about seeing blue sky and some clouds? Like that is boring as can be. That's why those Ace Combat games never really did anything to me. And so that was my number one worry with this. Now, if we actually get into a situation where you land on the ground, you see buildings, you're flying up, and maybe you have a battle that takes place basically on the ground. If everything is airborne, oh man, I really have very little interest in this game. But you know what? Some people have actually tried this game and they have actual thoughts on it. So why don't we go ahead and see what they're talking about? Okay, so Ben Lang, I've got a couple impressions here from Ben Lang, so why don't I throw his mug on the screen here. Let me go back to the Ben Lang pick, and here we go. Okay, so one of the quotes I have, he says, "The studio has also smartly designed the system to work in full 360 degrees, which is normally just about impossible for PSVR games, which further lets players get lost in the fantasy." Now, this is pretty incredible. Like, this really does sound incredible because when you think about PlayStation VR, the biggest downside for PlayStation VR is there's a singular camera. There's a singular camera, and the singular camera has a cone of vision, and the cone of vision is relatively limited. And if you're playing with Move controllers and you turn around, what happens? You're occluding. The camera can't see the Move controllers. It doesn't know what the hell you're doing. Now, if you have a DualShock 4 controller, this is why Resident Evil 7 works really good with the DualShock 4 controller, and Sony, incredibly smart to have lights that go all the way around your head so that you can turn all the way around. If you're playing Resident Evil 7, you could turn all the way around, and it's not a problem because it's not tracking your DualShock 4 controller. It has the accelerometer and all of that in it, and it sees your head. It knows that you're turned around, and it can deal with that. But PlayStation VR has always had a problem with trying to do games in 360 degrees, but it appears that Camouflage, developers of Republic, or I don't know if it's pronounced Republic and it's just spelled kind of crazy, or if it's actually pronounced Republic. But it's available on the go, by the way, and I think Gear VR as well, and on like iPads and all of those kinds of things. But they might have come up with some incredible stuff here. So here's another, I got a longer quote here from Ben Lang. He says, "It seems this is achieved." Now he's talking about the 360 degree thing here. Okay, he says, "It seems this is achieved by designing the flying mechanics to constrain the range of possible motion so that inverse kinematics can be employed when the camera loses line of sight of the controllers. In practice, the system that made this work felt invisible as I was playing, aside from the occasional funky arm movement, and I had no sense for what my real-world forward direction was, whereas knowing the forward direction is essential in many other PSVR games. Because I didn't have to worry about where forward was, I ended up being more immersed because I stopped considering the outside world." That's Ben Lang. And that's something that we've dealt with. We've dealt with this a million times when it comes to PSVR games. Like typically when I'm playing PSVR, one of the downsides of it is I feel like I'm wearing concrete boots when I'm playing PlayStation VR. Like I basically, I get situated right in front of the camera. I plant my feet down on the ground, and I basically stay there, and I basically pretend like my feet are rooted into the ground, and I can't, I'll turn my body like this, I'll turn my body like that, but my feet stay where they are. I stay planted because I want to be in front of the camera, because if I start doing all of this, it gets discombobulated and it breaks the entire experience. But this sounds pretty incredible that they've come up with some kind of software algorithm thing where they're basically using inverse kinematics, and they kind of are tracking the way your arms are moving and the way the flight system works, where they don't lose you. That's kind of incredible that they're able to do this. But one of the things he says, though, at the beginning of it, he says, by designing the flying mechanics to constrain the range of possible motion. So they kind of had to cheat a little bit. So I don't know exactly how the cheating aspect of it works as far as that goes. Okay, so those are a couple of quotes from Ben Lang. But you know what? David Jagano, he got a chance with Iron Man as well. I do have one David Jagano quote, and so I'll go ahead and pop his quote up. Okay, so what he says is, thankfully, they absolutely nailed the sensation of flight. As someone that doesn't get motion sick, it's hard to tell if it will be comfortable for everyone, but the HUD and clever UI effects should help battle that vertigo feeling. Luckily for me, I went full speed at all times and felt amazing. Okay, so that's David Jagano. So, and Ben Lang also talked about the flying feeling spectacular in Iron Man VR, like going super fast, you're flying through the air. The sensation of flight, they nailed it. They did a great job with it. That's awesome. The question I have, though, and the question remains, is do we land on the ground? Like, is this an airborne game? If this game is primarily airborne and you're primarily up in the clouds and you're dealing with jets and like you fight a boss monster that's like a flying thing, and so if you're always flying, I'm going to be so freaking disappointed by it. But I mean, maybe I should reserve judgment. I should reserve judgment, but what can I say? Because Iron Man in VR, it seems like it would be made, a dream come true. Like what a great idea. Okay. Hussein X says, also in Republic game, they pronounce niche as niche with a CH in case. Okay. Yeah. See, is there a proper way to pronounce niche or niche? You hear niche, niche. I think it's like potato, all that type of thing. So I think you kind of can go any different way. Jarillo says, sounds painful to the feet, like standing at a wedding or church too long. Yeah, it isn't really. And see, the thing about standing, with your feet planted like cement style, one of the downsides of that is like when I get this Oculus Quest and I've been freed, like the cords have been cut and I'm let go and I can do whatever I want, I'm going to have to literally unlearn all of this like subconscious, like stay in one spot type of stuff that I've just basically been, taught so well with having the umbilical cord of VR for basically 3 years now. Because I got an Oculus Go and I was like, oh yeah, I could turn any which way, but I don't do it very much because you just don't think about it. So that is an unfortunate little side effect of being trained by VR for so long. Great Tantrum says, PSVR with a DualShock 4 in certain games can be played full 360 degrees. Absolutely. Resident Evil 7, basically. Like when I played Resident Evil 7, I didn't use the snap turn. I pretty much just turned my body. I basically was just turning my body whichever way, so I played 360 degree with some of the DualShock 4 control. That's one of the hidden advantages sometimes of actually being limited to a DualShock 4 controller. For example, Space Junkies. Space Junkies is on PlayStation VR, and you can't use Move controllers with Space Junkies. And I'm sure that they did that very, very specifically because they, it's one thing to like create a flying mechanic where they can figure out where your arms is. It's another thing when you're moving guns around, because you can't have a gun in your hand, then all of a sudden the gun disappears. You're in the middle of a battle with other people online. that's not going to work. That's why they went ahead and stuck with the DualShock 4 for that. Iron Man VR, you know, one thing I will say though from Iron Man VR is the UI, like the HUD and the clever UI effects. That's something that David Jagano did mention. He says he's talking about whether it'll be comfortable for everyone, and he says, but the HUD and clever UI effects should help battle that vertigo feeling. Yeah, I wonder how far they're going to go with those clever UI effects, because when you think about the movie Iron Man and you think about like all the little indicators and stuff that they put in his face, I mean, like I would be watching an Iron Man movie and I'd see that stuff and I would instantly think, why aren't we doing that in VR? Like, couldn't we do that in VR? Would it look right in VR? Would it irritate the hell out of us? Not sure. Lots of possibilities there. Okay, so anyway, that is Iron Man VR, and now we got some other stuff to talk about now. But actually, why don't we go ahead and bounce over to our Webby browser? We do have Oculus daily deals, and I have not been covering. Man, I've missed out on so many daily deals. I was covering this every single day for the longest time, and we were doing this show every single day. And then just everything exploded, you know, and it was all Valve Index all the time and all this other crazy stuff. And so much craziness, Rift S, GDC, all that stuff, right? And the daily deal got lost in the shuffle, man. And so now we're going to try to kind of return to normalcy. But our daily deal today is a pretty good one. We have Wilson's Heart. Now, there are 7 hours left. We're starting later now. You know, this is 4:38 p.m. right now. So there's only 7 hours and 21 minutes that are left. Wilson's Heart, 50% off. You can grab it for $15. Normal price is $30. This is Twisted Pixel. These are the developers of Defector. Speaking of Defector, like, where the F is that? I thought we were going to get dates. I remember back prior to, and this kind of speaks to the whole Oculus exclusives, like, where are they? The question of the day. What is the last Oculus Rift exclusive? Is it really Windlands 2? Because damn, that's embarrassing. But basically, Wilson's Heart, this is one of those exclusives that we had. And Twisted Pixel, they're now working on Defector. They're also working on an Oculus Quest game. They're working on an Oculus Quest game. If you guys don't remember, Hugo Berra, back at Oculus Connect 5, you know, he was walking around on stage, doing his little thing, and behind him was a gigantic billboard, basically, that had all the logos of all kinds of companies, like Solfar Studios was one of the logos that was up there. A lot of different logos, a lot of different companies. One of the logos was Twisted Pixel. So they are working on an Oculus Quest game. So that's kind of cool. But if you want to experience their very first VR game, it's Wilson's Heart. And would you believe I've never finished this game? Of course you'd believe that, because I very rarely finish games, period. And Wilson's Heart, now the worst part of this game, in my opinion, I'll tell you what's wrong with Wilson's Heart in a nutshell, man. This is my biggest problem with Wilson's Heart. My biggest problem is the arbitrary switch that you gotta flick a switch to get to move on to the next little thing. And so what I discovered when I was playing Wilson's Heart is I would be all over the place, looking at this, looking at that, and then I would ultimately find out that I had to do some little obtuse little thing that was like 30 minutes back that I somehow missed it. I somehow wasn't paying attention to it. And because I didn't activate that little thing, the game was basically stuck. And so the reason that I have not finished Wilson's Heart is because I'm stuck at a very specific puzzle. And every time I go in there, I try to look around, I try to figure it out, and I'm freaking stuck like Chuck. And I do not like going to the internet. I don't like going to playthroughs. I don't think you should have to do that. And so the one criticism I have, and this is a big criticism for VR in general, bad game design. Look, Wilson's Heart is a great game. Despite that, it overcomes that. It is a good game despite that. But just generally talking about VR gaming development, developers, please stop doing this. Stop putting something in there that triggers something else. Because the problem with it's fine. You do that in a flat game, it's not a problem. But you do it in VR, you can walk over there and you can walk over there and you can look at this bush and then you're looking at that butterfly over there and then you know what I mean? And so, you know, maybe you were supposed to look at a very specific thing and you're supposed to move a ladder or trigger something. Same thing with like LA Noire VR case files. Like I can't get up the pole because I guess I didn't see the reflection of a gun in some kind of window. And it's like if you don't happen to look in the right window and see the reflection of the gun, then you're stuck for like 45, 55 minutes. I hate that crap. We need to figure something out. Matthew Lake says, just look at a YouTube video if you're stuck, man. Finish the game, damn it. Yeah, I know, but, you know, maybe when we get to this Stadia world, right? Okay, Google Stadia, you know, the whole Google Stadia thing. Because one of the things they're talking about with Google Stadia is like, are you stuck in a game? Like you'll be able to, like you're playing a game on Google Stadia. Now, of course, we're not going to have VR Stadia for another 10 years. But one of the cool things about Google Stadia that I did hear about is like if you're stuck in a game, you'll be able to basically like hit a button on your controller and then bam, it'll know exactly where you are in the game and it'll be able to deliver you a video on YouTube of somebody's playthrough like 5 minutes before where you got stuck. And so it won't be one of these things where you got to find somebody's video. You got to scrub the video to get to the right part where they're talking about the right thing. And you don't want to accidentally see spoilers and all of that, you know, and that sounds really good. Like, I like that idea for Google Stadia. It's kind of, and Craig's VR says Stadia will be a huge fail. Yeah, we kind of hope it will. I mean, I think we kind of hope it will in certain ways because, you know, it's not what we're looking for. Okay, so anyways, going back to the Webby browser, let's go back over here to Upload VR. So what I saw here is Sony and, you know, everybody's golf VR. This is a big game. It's coming, I believe, on May 21st, right? And so I clicked on this and I was looking at this story and I thought, oh, maybe there's going to be a brand new trailer. I went to PlayStation, you know, the official PlayStation YouTube channel, looking for a brand new trailer that breaks this whole thing down. No dice, no dice. So we did not get a brand new trailer for Everybody's Golf VR, which we should get a new trailer for this because we never actually got a trailer, period. All we got was like Tokyo Game Show, like footage that was kind of slapped together. We haven't seen a legit trailer for this game yet. But you know what? I did read this little story here, and the one thing that jumped out to me, first of all, the game is going to be $29.99, so $30. It's coming on May 21st, and the number one problem that I have with every golf game, and I don't know if you guys have experienced the same thing, but the number one problem, see, I've played golf in real life. For a couple of years, I was playing golf on a regular basis. I suck. I'm horrible. But I've played golf in real life. And once you've played golf in real life, you know that you hold your golf club in a very specific type of way. And so the big problem, like when you hold your golf club, it's like you take your thumb, you know, like this, you line your thumbs up, and this is how you're holding your club basically. But I mean, obviously you're going to be down here doing it, but I'm going up here to kind of show you guys. And the problem I have with that is I've tried a couple of golf games in VR, but when you got two different controllers in your hand, how do you do that? You can't do that right. And so ultimately, what was the golf game that came out not too long ago? It was by like Baker's Crest or something. Tea Time, was it Tea Time Golf? I think it's called Tea Time Golf. And it's not a bad golf. It's actually pretty cool. And it actually kind of seems like a Hot Shots golf or an Everybody's Golf. It kind of has that same flavor, Tea Time Golf, right? But I could never get past the fact that I couldn't hold my hands together right. And the only way, like I would have to kind of have my hands like, this is not, you don't want to swing a golf club with your hands disconnected. You want your hands connected like this. And so then ultimately I was just trying to swing a golf club with a single hand. And that isn't how you play golf. That's garbage. Okay, so good news, folks. Good news. Actually, let me grab one of my Move controllers. Hold on one sec. Okay, so the good news with everybody's golf for PlayStation VR, it uses a single Move controller. And I like that. I like the fact that this uses a single Move controller, because you know what? There's enough of this controller, it's long enough that I can kind of get both of my hands on it, and I can kind of get that golf feeling, you know what I mean? Like I can kind of get my thumbs on there and kind of grip it and kind of like, boom, get that golf feeling. So I'm actually excited about everybody's golf VR because of the fact that it uses a single move. And so you can kind of actually grip it almost like it's a golf club handle a little bit, and it'll actually work. And that's awesome. And I can't play these golf games. Like we need to have Pro Tube, you know, all these different like PVC pipes and stuff that they do for all the gun games. We need one for the golf games. We need one for the golf games. And that's why I haven't been. And there's like Golf Club VR. Like, what are those people doing? Like, they must have made like a special thing that holds both of their Oculus Rift controllers, or it holds both of their Vive wands. And they really feel like they're holding a golf club. Because this is a problem. This problem should have been solved already. When I really think about it, you think about Valve and you think about the sensors and all of that stuff. Like I can remember way back to 2016 when VR kind of got going and kind of got, you know, this second wave of VR first kicked off. I had all these different visions that were running through my head. I thought, oh, we're going to have a handle that is exactly like a tennis racket, has the exact weight of a tennis racket, but it's going to be covered in sensors. And so we're going to have a tennis game and we're going to feel like we're playing tennis, and it's going to have the actual handle of a real tennis racket. It's going to have something that comes out with the proper weight so it feels like you're holding an actual tennis racket, and it's going to be covered with sensors, and we're good to go. And I thought the same thing was going to happen for a baseball bat. It wouldn't be a full-size baseball bat. It would just be the handle, a thing that would come up with the weight on it so you feel like you've got a full-size baseball bat. It has the sensors on it. Where is this stuff? You know, where is this stuff? We don't have any of this stuff. Doesn't make any sense. Instead, they give you these big, gigantic trackers that you put on a full... Have you guys seen the video where people are swinging a full-size baseball bat right near like a LED TV that's like maybe 3 feet away? You want to talk about a recipe for disaster? Like putting a full-size Vive tracker on a full-size baseball bat. Does that really make sense? And so from a golf standpoint, where is our golf handle, you know, that has the weight of your typical golf club, you know, the average weight of your typical golf club, and then you could have a golfing experience that would be virtually identical to being out there on the, like maybe you could even improve your swing and stuff. Because I remember like a long time ago, this is like in the late 90s, you could go to these different golf places that sell golf clubs, and they do like custom fitted golf clubs and all that craziness, right? And they would have a special thing where they actually had a thing set up and you actually hit a real golf club, and they had like a little machine that analyzed it and it would try to like correct your swing and stuff, and they would record your swing, you know, with cameras and slow it down in slow motion. They'd say, oh, when you're doing this, this is where you're going wrong because you're turning your wrist too early. You know, all that kind of crap. Like, shouldn't VR be able to do all of that right now? Like, we should be able to do that by now. So anyway, that's everybody's golf. Probably spent way too much time on that, but oh well, it happens. Okay, well, you know, one thing I can go to real quick, I need to get a sip of water. And so what I'm going to do is, guess what, guys? Magic Leap. I got a brand new Magic Leap trailer. Aren't you excited? Yeah, you gotta be excited. But you know what? The Magic Leap trailer is about 1 minute, and it'll give me a chance to drink a little bit of water. So we're gonna go ahead and check out this brand new Magic Leap trailer. They don't have that many trailers on the Magic Leap YouTube thing. So this is a new trailer that came out. Let's go ahead and check it out. I'm gonna pump up the volume here on this Iron Man VR, and we're gonna check out a little Magic Leap thing real quick. So let's check it out.
10 o'clock.
So much for a hero's welcome.
On your right.
Forcing the airline to cancel hundreds of flights.
Okay, so that was the Magic Leap trailer, and I was able to get some water, and so that worked out great. You know, the trailer looks pretty good, but man, I gotta tell you, this product, Magic Leap 1, it's being targeted at actual consumers, and man, they made a mistake there. That was a tactical error on Magic Leap's part. Trying to market this as at actual consumers, major mistake. And I don't know what they're like. I don't know what they're going to do to turn that around. You gotta wonder. You really gotta wonder about the long-term viability of Magic Leap. I really think you gotta wonder about it. But you know, one of the things that we can say about Magic Leap, actually, I was listening to This Is Just a Test. You know, the Tested podcast, right, with Norman Chan. Will Smith is often on there, and Jeremy Williams, and Kishore, I forget his last name, but you know, it's a very good podcast, right? Now that I'm back at work, I'm in a cubicle again. I listened to F Reality today. I listened to the entire F Reality podcast of when they were at GDC, and I heard them talk about Rift S and all of that. So I checked that out as well. But the Tested podcast, they were talking about Dr. Groardbort's, and they were talking about the 4-player, like it was a multiplayer experience that they had at GDC for Dr. Groardbort's. And they had a lot of really good, like they were saying like that was a very impressive experience, that multiplayer experience. They thought it was very, very impressive. So, you know, Magic Leap. And Magic Leap is in the news as well because AT&T stores, I believe, have Magic Leap now, and they have kind of like this Game of Thrones demo that you can get, but it's only at like 5 Magic Leap 5 AT&T stores throughout like the entire USA. So it's not available at too many of them. But yeah, so anyways, that's a little bit of Magic Leap love. Okay, let's see. What else did we want to get into? You know what? I kind of wrote down, I was at work today, and I was trying to write down some things to possibly talk about. Some different things. Oh, you know what other thing I heard today? Did you guys hear the MRTV show where he had Sweeviver on, and it was like 3 hours? I listened to a lot of that today. And that was cool because it got me through a huge chunk of my work shift today, you know, just listening to MRTV and Sweeviver. But you know what, like one of the things that bothered me is like they would be talking and then like every other minute there would be like some donation that would come in and like a lot of noises and stuff and little videos. And it was like, man, they were just talking about something good and then they would get completely distracted. But it was a pretty good conversation that MRTV had with Sweeviver. And, you know, one of the things that Sweeviver mentioned something that I thought was pretty interesting. And actually, let me see if I can find the trailer for it. This is like an interesting thing to think about, guys. Okay, so hold on. Let me find this trailer, and then I'll tell you what Sweeviver was talking about. It's related to the Valve Index. and it's related to this right here, this video that I'm about to throw on the screen right now here. This is Half-Life 2 VR. Remember? Do you guys remember Half-Life 2 VR, the VR mod? Whatever happened to this? What happened to this? I remember my buddy, Erwin X. And Erwin, if you're watching this right now, I do want to have a special episode with Erwin X where I want to talk to him about the state of VR. Now, he's a hardcore Skyrim VR nut, and so he isn't playing a lot of the games every day. He's just like a Skyrim nutcase, basically. But he definitely keeps up with all the hardware and stuff, and I could talk to him about the state of VR. I think it would be an awesome discussion, so I'm hoping to have Erwin X on the show pretty soon. But here's the thing. Years ago, I was talking to Erwin X about Half-Life 2 VR mod. We thought it was coming any day now, any day. And oh, it'll be out next month. Okay, well, it didn't come out next month. Okay, it'll be out the month after that. And then it didn't come out that month. And then, okay, it's going to be out the month after that. And here we are, like 2 years later, the damn thing still isn't out. And one of the comments I made to Erwin X way back in the days about this is I said, you know what? We might not get this thing for a long time. And I said, I think one of the problems is Valve. I would not be the least bit surprised if Valve had some kind of plan for this, for Half-Life 2 being reimagined in VR. And you know what Sweeve Ivor mentioned? He said, well, hey, what if Valve just what if they work out a deal with the people that are working on this and this just comes out with the Valve Index? Maybe that's why this is delayed. People talk to the people that are making this and they always say, well, hey, we've got real jobs. We've got our own jobs. And so we can only work on this when we have time to work on this. And so, it's going to come out when it's going to come out, and it might be years from now or whatever. But what if Valve reached out to the Half-Life 2 VR mod team and said, you know what? Can we work out a little thing here? You guys can make this little thing, and you can make it with the Valve Index, and we'll make this available when the Valve Index is available. Maybe it all works out because this has been delayed forever. It doesn't make sense. This should have been out a year ago, and we still don't have this. So I don't know. Maybe it could come with the Valve Index. I thought that was a very interesting idea that Sweeve Ivor mentioned about that. Okay, let's see. What other things do we want to get into? Okay, well, you know what? In regards to the Valve Index and a lot of the discussions, okay, let me go ahead and get a different Valve Index video or something to throw on the screen here that's Valve Index related. One sec here. And let's see, what could we grab? Valve Index. Okay, we'll just grab the Valve Index pictures. Yeah, we've seen them a million times, but let's see them a few million more. Okay, so I have some rando thoughts. They're kind of random thoughts about some of the stuff related to Valve Index. Okay, so Valve News Network. You guys know Tyler McVicker, Valve News Network. One of the shows that I listened to on YouTube today while I was at work was Tyler McVicker. He has a recent video that he did where he was talking about basically the store page that hit yesterday, and he was talking all about that on April 1st, all of these kinds of things, right? Well, Tyler McVicker said a couple of things that I found very interesting because he said them like they were a known fact, like it was a done deal. And I'm trying to figure out, where did he get this info that it's a done deal? So one of the things Tyler McVicker was saying, there's no game at launch. He said that there's no Valve game at launch. There's no, you know how there's 3 Valve games that are supposedly coming out at some point? We thought that one of them was going to come with the Valve Index, that the day the Valve Index is available, the day the Knuckles controllers are available, that same day, this new Valve game, one of them, is going to be available. But one of the things Tyler McVicker said is there's not going to be a game there's not going to be a game that's going to be available when the Valve Index is available. And I listened to it again. I listened to the entire thing again, and I don't know where he's getting that information. So somebody out there that is really knowledgeable about all the VNN videos, and you watch them religiously, and you watch them like 3 different times to know every little tip and trick that is included in it, but with all the speculations and all the rumors and all of that, he said there's no Valve game coming on day 1. And where is he getting that info? So that's a question I have out there. Another question I have. So Tyler McVicker says that the FOV of the Valve Index is at least 130 degrees. Like, it's a done deal. Like, he basically said, well, we know that the FOV is at least 130 degrees. It's a done deal. Where is he getting that info too? I mean, I know a lot of us believe it's going to be 130 degrees or 135 degrees or some, like a lot of us believe that. We believe there is going to be a bump in FOV, but where is Tyler McVicker? Like, what is his justification for that? Because he was basically talking about it like, oh, it's a done deal. Like, the Valve Index has a field of view of 130 degrees. It's a done deal. And I don't know where he's getting that information from. The other thing that he said is he basically was talking about how it's OLED and it's 1400 by 1600, and he said that was a done deal. Like, it's OLED and it's 1400 by 1600. Again, where is he? Like, I don't know where, like, that's fine that he believes that, but what is his justification? I guess I'm going to have to go back and watch previous episodes of Valve News Network, which it's rumors and speculation. You know, it's rumors and speculation, but he's talking about certain things like they are straight up done deals, and I'm trying to understand, where is he getting this info? You know, like, he straight up has these done, like, he's saying it's 1400 by 1600. As far as I know, that has not been confirmed. Like, what I understand is, based on the render target, based on Zalubu Productions, and what happened yesterday with that, is I believe it's either 1400 by 1600 or it's 2160 by 2160. That those are the options, that it's like a 50-50. But Tyler McVicker seems to have locked into the 1400 by 1600 thing. Now, is he basing that on the specifications because you can still use a GTX 970, and if it was 2160 by 2160, there's no way in hell you'd be able to use a 970? I don't know. I don't know. So I thought that was curious. Okay. Let's see. I was trying to see, is there any other little Tyler McVicker thing I wanted to mention real quick? Oh, one of the things he did mention, so about June 15th, you know how, so on May 1st, we are expecting an info dump for the Valve Index. So we're waiting. We've got an entire, dude, how are we going to get through the next 28, 29 days until May 1st? How are we going to get through all of these days without having real information? I'm going to get bored of this pretty soon, and I'm going to stop talking about Valve Index because I'm going to get sick of it after a while. I'm pretty damn close. I'm not quite there, but I'm pretty damn close. But one of the things that he mentioned was, so May 1st, we get our info dump. It's been reported that it's going to release on June 15th. And what he said was, and I didn't think about this, I didn't bother to look at June 15th on the calendar. June 15th is a Saturday. You're not going to ship a major product on a Saturday. So June 15th is not the release date. That is a what do you call it? That is a placeholder. June 15th is placeholder. Okay, so don't mark your calendars that you're getting a Valve Index on June 15th, because that is placeholder. And I believe like Doug Lombardi or somebody else basically said that it's sometime in June, like it's sometime mid-June, late June is the release of the Valve Index. So do not mark June 15th on your calendar like it is a done deal, because I don't think June 15th is a done deal. We got to hope that it's just sometime in June, period. Because you know Valve when it comes to those times. Okay, And then I had a couple of other miscellaneous things that I was kind of thinking about. Okay, so let's see. You know what? I don't think I have a trailer for that. But basically, so one of the questions, actually, you know what? I have a trailer that I could use. Okay, so hold on one second. Let me grab a different trailer. Because I have another question to pose for you guys. I've got a lot of questions. Let's see if I could find... let's see... And now, of course, I can't find the trailer. Okay, well, let's go back into our trailer folder. Maybe it's in there. So let's go back to our trailer folder. Hold on a second, guys. Sorry to hold you up like this. Okay, HTC Vive. Yeah. Let's see. Vive. Yeah, not seeing the trailer. Damn it, this sucks. I wish I had a trailer on the screen. Well, you know what we can do here? Why don't we do this? We don't need a trailer. We don't need a stinking trailer. We can go to our webby browser. Okay, so let's go to our webby browser here. And what I'm going to do is, wait, here's our webby browser. Okay, let's go to the store. Well, you know what? I could mention this right now. Skyworld Kingdom Brawl. It is available today. And you know, the really good news with this, it's only $8.50. It is only $8.50. It's 15% off. You got this special promotion until April 9th. It's going for 10 bucks. I'm not really into this type of thing, but you know what? Maybe I should try it. I do believe VR Roundtable, I believe we have a code for this, so I could try this. I just don't know if I want to invest the time to like figure out how to play this. But yeah, that's Skyworld Kingdom Brawl. I'm not into like these card games at all, man. It's just not my bag. So I just don't know that I could even like rally the enthusiasm to try to play this. But I've heard it's pretty cool. And the good news is the price is really nice. But actually, here's the thing I want to talk about. Okay, here's the thing I want to talk about. Okay, so Arizona Sunshine, guys. Arizona Sunshine, let's just say view page. So Arizona Sunshine, the question I have is, where are the big VR sequels? Where's our big VR sequels? Like Arizona Sunshine, this game's been around for a long ass time. This released back on December 6, 2016. And I started thinking about this because of Vertigo Games. And I was thinking about the developer and I was like, you know what? This is the first game, that Skyworld game, you know, the card game, is the first game that Vertigo has developed since Arizona Sunshine. Vertigo did not develop Skyworld. That was like Wolf Dog Interactive. And even Arizona Sunshine was co-developed by Jaywalkers Interactive. And so I started thinking about that, and then I started thinking, wait a minute, where's all the big sequels? Like, where is Arizona Sunshine 2? Where's Raw Data 2? Where are all the big VR games, like the big sequels? We don't have the big sequels. I think it's kind of weird. Like, where's Arizona Sunshine 2? Where's Raw Data 2? What other big sequels we can have? Because, you know, you think of Windlands, well, we got Windlands 2. You think of Job Simulator, we got Vacation Simulator. So a lot of the biggest VR games that we got back in the days, we've gotten sequels for some of these games. But we don't have a sequel for Arizona Sunshine. We don't have a sequel for Raw Data. There's probably a bunch of other ones that I'm kind of missing here, that like early VR games, big time, prime time VR games that have kind of turned into franchises. There should be a sequel. So where's Arizona Sunshine 2? Where's Raw Data 2? It was just a question that popped into my head. Okay. Now we can talk a little bit about Rift S and Quest real quick. I'm going to go back to our standard scene here and I'll throw on the Rift S trailer, because you know what? Nostradamus Jr. is back in the building. I've thought of something that is Nostradamus related, and because it's Nostradamus related, we might as well get into it. And it's related to the Rift S, and it's also related to the Oculus Quest. So let me find my Rift S trailer here. Rift S. Okay, here we go. Okay, got my Rift S trailer. Okay, so I have a prediction, guys, about the Rift S and the Oculus Quest. Because everybody's been wondering, when are we going to be able to buy the Rift S? When are we going to be able to buy the Oculus Quest? Now, originally, everybody thought that we were going to get the Rift S on March 28th, the 3-year anniversary. Stores are sold out of Oculus Rift. You can't buy Oculus Rift anywhere. And so we were going to get the Rift S on March 28th. It made all the sense in the world because it would give a month. It'd be a month into F8. And on F8, the Oculus Quest comes out. And then that way you stagger the releases so you don't have both of them fighting for people's attention at the same time. You stagger it. You spread it, right? And so the Rift S was going to come out on March 28th. And the Oculus Quest was going to come out on April 30th. It was a done deal. We all thought that that's the way it was going to go. Nostradamus Jr. said as much. It should have happened. It didn't happen. We still cannot buy a Rift S right now. We don't know where the Oculus Quest is. We don't know where the Rift S is. And we're wondering, when are we going to be able to buy them? And then it dawned on me, guys. It dawned on me. And Nostradamus will live again. And so here's my Nostradamus prediction for you guys. This is the way it's going to happen. Okay, so Oculus is not going to fight the fact that they've got two different products that are catered to two different markets. They're not going to fight it. They're not going to struggle with it. Instead, they're going to embrace it. They're going to lean into it, okay? So they're not going to fight the feeling. You're not going to get the Rift S on a separate day from the Oculus Quest. You're going to get them on the same day. Nostradamus has done it again, guys. Done it again. Okay, so April 30th, yes. April 30th. Here's what's going to happen. On April 30th, Zuck is going to walk out on stage. Zuck's going to walk out on stage, and there's going to be two podiums. There's going to be two podiums, and there's going to be a blanket over one and a blanket over the other. And Zuck's going to get out there, and he's going to do the Zuck thing that Zuck likes to do. And he's going to talk about all kinds of Zuck-related stuff. And then he's going to eventually get to the time to talk about the systems. And he's going to say, so, do you have a gaming PC? Well, we've got a product for you. Zoop! And there is the Rift S. You've got a gaming PC? Here it is. We've delivered. You now have a headset for your gaming PC. Oh, you don't have a gaming PC? Voop! Here's the Oculus Quest. Both of them are available today. Both of them are priced the exact same amount. $399. $400 each. You got the Oculus Quest, you got the Rift S. They're both available today. You can go down to your local Best Buy and you can pick up both of them if you want. The only thing you have to decide is, do you have a gaming PC, yes or no? If the answer is no, Oculus Quest. If the answer is yes, Rift S. It's a done deal. So Oculus is going to lean in, man. They're not going to fight the feeling. They're not going to try to separate these things. They're going to lean in. They're going to lean in. Yeah, Punk Zero says, Nostradamus had the sense to be vague with his predictions. But Nostradamus Jr. doesn't have that sense. Unfortunately, Nostradamus Jr. doesn't know what the hell he's doing. And Nostradamus Jr. just pulls crap right out of his ass. I'm looking for my Nostradamus Jr. little background that I like to put on the screen, if I can find it here. But I'm not seeing it. Let's see. Let me go to miscellaneous. Does this have my Nostradamus Jr.? Oh, man, I can't find Nostradamus Jr. So instead, I'll go ahead and put Will Ferrell on the screen. Yeah, so I can't find my little Nostradamus Jr., but that's it, dude. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. Rift S and Oculus Quest on the same day, guys. On the same day. And the reason that they're doing this, this is a strategy. This is actually a freaking clever-ass strategy. I'm going to go to Google here and F8 Zuck. I'm just going to do F8 Zuck with a C, though. I need to put a C in there. F8 Zuckerberg. F8 Zuck, and let's go images. Here we go. There's our boy, F8 Zuck. Okay, so let's go to the Webby browser. So yeah, so here's what's going to happen, folks. They are going to lean into this. They're going to lean into this. It's not a conflict. There's no conflict of interest. If you have a gaming PC, Oculus Rift S. You don't have a gaming PC? Have we got the product for you? It's the Oculus Quest. It's our standalone. It's a beautiful thing. Both products, $400. You know, both products. Here's this one. Here's that one. Both products are $400. Now, the other aspect of this, guys, is do you know how many media outlets go to F8? There's a reason they're doing this. There's a reason that they're waiting for F8. And the reason they're doing it is because they're going to get the publicity that money cannot buy. They are going to get publicity that money can't buy. And so what's going to be the lead story that is on USA Today and all these other newspapers? Like, yeah, there's still newspapers. Can you believe that? But what's going to be the lead story on all these different outlets that are going to cover F8? Oculus has a VR headset for you. The Oculus introduces standalone VR headset and an upgraded Oculus Rift. Oculus is VR crazy. You know, I mean, I don't know what the headlines are going to be, but the trucks are going to be there. The studio trucks with their satellites and all that shit, it's all going to be at F8. And that's why they're doing this. They're going to lean into it. There's no conflict of interest. No, we've got a library of products. We've got an entire catalog of products. We've got the Rift S, we've got the Oculus Quest, and we've got the Oculus Go. We've got a library, you know, we've got an entire chain of products, and they can all coexist together, and they all love each other, and everything is happy, and everything is friendly, everything is good. And that's what they're going to do, guys. And then guess who's going to kill them like a day later? A day later, the Valve Index comes and the info dump comes and it kills everything. God damn it. Valve loves to do this. Valve loves to ruin whatever Oculus is doing. Haven't you guys noticed this? Haven't you noticed this with Valve? I mean, look back at the years. Okay, see, here's the thing. We got to go back into the old school situation here. Oculus was a startup company. Okay, Oculus was a startup. They were a feisty little startup. They didn't have billions of dollars. They were a startup with Palmer Luckey and Nate Mitchell and Brendan Arebe and everybody else. They were a startup, and Valve liked them. And Valve was working with them. And Valve was sharing a lot of trade secrets with them because they didn't feel like they were like, well, this is just a little startup. We don't care. That Valve traded secrets with them, and they worked closely with Oculus. They had a great thing going on, right? And some people even wondered, would Valve buy Oculus? Okay, and then Facebook comes out and buys Oculus, and Valve was like, really? Really? You're going to go with those mofos? And then Facebook made it even worse by stealing some of the best engineers that were at Valve. And so Valve hates these mofos. Let me tell you, Valve hates these guys with a passion, man. And so what happened is Oculus is like, yeah, so here's the Oculus Rift. And then all of a sudden, bam, HTC Vive comes out of nowhere and freaking steals all the thunder with legitimate room scale. This happened 3 years ago. Do you guys remember? This happened 3 years ago. Valve shat all over them 3 years ago with room scale. I was watching stuff about the Oculus Rift, and I was kind of getting excited about the Oculus Rift. And then at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, Valve dropped a neutron bomb. And then it was like room scale, the freaking holodeck and shit. And so I was like, Oculus, get the heck out of Dodge. It's all about this room scale stuff. Valve did it 3 years ago. They're going to do it again on May 1st after Zuck has his day in the sun on April 30th, and he holds the Rift S in one hand, or I guess you would hold them like this, right? The Rift S in one hand, the Quest in the other. Have we got a VR headset for you? So anyway, that's my Nostradamus thing. That's my new prediction. Instead of it being a problem, it's a solution. It's not a problem. It's not a problem that they have two separate products that are trying to get $400 out of this pocket and $400 out of that pocket. It's not a problem. It's a solution. It's a solution to the question. The question is, do you have a gaming PC, yes or no? If the answer is yes, we've got a product for you. If the answer is no, we've got a product for you. And are you poor? That's the second question. If the answer is yes, here's the Oculus Go. Here's that product for you. So that's kind of what's going on, guys. It's going to be funny. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be beautiful. All right, well, I've been going for a long time. I definitely need some damn water. So we're going to switch back over here to our standard scene. That's our boy Will Ferrell with the classic headband. And the reason that's in there is because if you have a problem with sweat, and don't we all, if you're playing Beat Saber and Audica and all this stuff, Dance Central, you got a problem with sweat, grab yourself one of those old school headbands. They actually work beautifully, beautifully. Now, one last thing. Before we bounce out of here, guys, I had an amazing thing pop into my mind. An amazing thing popped into my mind. Okay, do you want to piss off Oculus fanboys? Does anybody out there want to piss off an Oculus fanboy? I've got the perfect solution for you. You want to piss off an Oculus fanboy? Don't ever call it the Oculus Rift S. Call it the Oculus Lenovo. Yeah, call it the Oculus Lenovo. Like if anybody is ever talking about the Rift S, say, yeah, I don't like the Oculus Lenovo. No, I'm not interested in the Oculus Lenovo. Yeah, it has no IPD slider. The Oculus Lenovo has no IPD slider. The Oculus Lenovo doesn't have enough resolution for me. The Oculus Lenovo is a Halo headset. If you want to piss off an Oculus fanboy, just call it the Oculus Lenovo. Oh my God, it's going to piss them off. It's going to piss them off to the 10th degree. And that just popped into my head. I was at work and I was thinking, the Oculus Lenovo. Yeah, it's going to piss off those Oculus fanboys. It's going to be funny. It's going to be hilarious. Okay, guys, well, I'm out of here. I'm done. I will be back tomorrow, Wednesday. Show notes. Show notes. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 2 p.m. 2 p.m. start time. So we're going to be earlier, 2 hours earlier, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Yeah, the Oculus Lenovo. Everybody has to do this. On all the subreddits, never say Rift S again. Never say it again. Never. It's the Oculus Lenovo. Yes, that's going to be so awesome if people actually do that. That'll be incredible. Okay, guys, but yeah, I'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Have no idea what the hell I'll be talking about, but I'll definitely be talking about something, and I'll see all of you guys then. So have a wonderful Tuesday. Remember, the Oculus Lenovo. Yeah, hop over to Reddit and start talking about the Oculus Lenovo. You're going to make those Oculus fanboys so happy. They're going to love you so much. No, they won't. They will hate your ass for that. All right, well, I'm out of here, guys. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you. Take it easy, and later. Later.